Hello, my name is Keith Kramer, and I'll be the instructor for this course, RCTC's Business 2101 Personal Finance, sections 72 and 73. And I'm going to go through the class. This is a completely asynchronous class, meaning you do this online. And then I'm going to go through our class, our materials, and get you go started for what we have to do for this semester. Okay. So let me go back here to the web. Just give me a second. All right, here we go. So this is business, as I said, 2101 personal finance, section 72 and 73. So on the web page, on the tools, the classes are combined. So everything will be communicated to both sections, graded. You go to the same portal. Um, so even though there's two sections, everyone is going to be working like there's just one section. Um, so let me go and show you this video, of course. If you log to Brightspace D2L, that's where the host of the course is done there. But we're also using Cengage MindTap, and Cengage has the textbook. It's an e-textbook. Um, Let me go ahead and I'm going to go. Here we are on the page of the class in D2L. You'll be assigned this class, and when you click on it, you'll come to this page. Um, and you can see there's a welcome announcement. The video that you're currently watching, you clicked on this link to see that video. Um, and then you're going to set up Cengage MindTap so you can get access to the ebook, and the homework and the exams are all done in Cengage MindTap. Um, the syllabus and everything can be accessed through there. So let me go ahead and show you how to get to the course material. So under the class, you click on content. And then on the left pane, we have the course index. And in this course index, I'm going to switch this to show it as a student view. So this is the way you guys will see it. Okay, and then I'll go to the content again. All right, so if I click on the syllabus, you can download the syllabus. It's a Microsoft Word document and print it, or you can look at it online. As I said, my name is Keith Kramer. This is my email address at RCTC. The best way to reach me, if you need to reach me, is through the email. So sending the email, I'll see it every day and I'll respond every day to the email. My office is in SS 319, but I'm not in the office very often. And if you need to reach me by phone, this is my phone number. You can call or you could text me here. But it's going to be quicker to reach me through email. But if there's some kind of urgent requirement, you can certainly text me or call me here. Since I don't know you, you're not in my contact list of my phone. I don't typically answer unknown callers. So identify yourself in a voicemail, or if you text me, identify yourself as a student for this class, if you do that. For office hours, because there's not a set class, we have an asynchronous. And I've tried to have office hours in the past, but then multiple students couldn't meet during that time because they had other conflicts. So instead, I'm going to have virtual office hours, meaning using Zoom, which we're on. I mean, I'm recording this through Zoom, but there's a Zoom reference. You guys have access to Zoom because you're students. We'll do an online interactive office hours if you need it. All you have to do is contact me, email me, and let me know you'd like to meet and have office hours, and then I'll arrange time that works for both you and myself. Um, the class dates are starting today, Monday, the 24th, and the last day of class is December 18th. This is a 3-credit class. College level reading is recommended, but there's no math requirement for the class. We will do math. This will be very basic financial math, but the formulas are no more complicated than what you can do in a calculator. So um, we'll go through that as we continue the class. The main areas of the course are going to be financial planning, career planning, financial statements and plans, tax management, cash and savings, auto housing, credit management, insurance, life, health, disability, property, investments, stock, bond, mutual funds, ETFs, retirement planning. So what I will say about the course is these are going to be financial information to help you in your career, in your life. So all these things are things that you need to know and understand because you're going to be dealing with them for the rest of your life. And you can be successful, have knowledge, um, and do well in these things, have a good financial life, or you can struggle, but you'll still have to deal with all these different things. So this is to kind of give you an overview of all these different things and go into some detail about how you can be successful in your life financially, meaning the information that we go through and do in this class you should take from the class and apply to your actual lives to be more successful, to be more happy. And so it's not something that's just throwaway that you're learning that this doesn't apply to me. This is like, I'm never going to use this. You're going to use everything that we talk about here. Today, you're using it right now. And you will be using it all in the future. All right. So for the testing for the evaluation, meaning your grade, um, we have every week there'll be a homework assignment, and that will be in Cengage MindTap that we'll see here in a minute. Um, discussion forums is in D2L. So in the D2L Brightspace, you're going to see the discussion forum because I'm going to go through and show you each of that for the first week, for example, and it'll be a similar for every future week. So every week you have to go and post in the discussion forum and uh, exams. There's a midterm and a final exam and the term project. So all term long, we're going to be building a financial plan, and this financial plan has to be turned in at the end of the semester. So um, the way that we do the grading is 90% of the total points on an assignment or better is an A, 80% is a B, 70 is C, 60 a D, and less than 60 is a fail. Your weekly assignments, these are the homework assignments you do every week, will be 20% of your grade. The discussion forum where you post on the original question is 20% of your grade. The term project that you work on from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester for the financial information, that's 20% of your grade. The midterm exam is 20%, and the final exam is 20% of your grade. So you're going to be earning points throughout the semester on homework and discussion. That's actually 40% of your grade. The project you work on all semester long, that's also 20% of your grade. And the exams are only 20% for midterm and the final. And the midterm is the first 9 chapters of the textbook, and the final is the last chapters 10 through 17. So that you're not going to get questions on the final going back to the first 9 weeks, but everything builds upon itself as you're going to see as we go. For late homework assignments, exams, discussion forum, homework are due on the date that they're assigned, and the dates are all listed here, which you'll see when we get to the first week. And it's important that you turn everything in on time. If there's some reason that you can't turn something in on the required due date, you must contact me in advance. You need to email me and let me know what the emergency situation is. People have been in like the hospital, or they have an accident or some uh, family emergency issue, and I'll be understanding to those things. But don't come to me like after you've missed assignments, like a week later or 2 weeks later, and say, "Oh yeah, I just didn't get that done," or something wasn't going on. You need to communicate with me, and I can be flexible if you have a legitimate reason why you weren't able to meet an assignment deadline. All right. So for the textbook, it's an ebook. And you have to have a subscription to Cengage, the Cengage to get to the e-textbook, the Cengage MindTap. If you have other courses that use Cengage, and a lot of courses at RCTC do, that login will work. You don't need to buy or use a different login. And once you have a login, so for example, if you're buying the login for this class, if you're buying that, then once that login is established, it will work for all of your other classes that use the Cengage textbooks. We're going to go through that when I get to the first week here. I'm going to show you connecting to Cengage, and I'm going to show you how you do your coursework and your homework and the reading in Cengage. So I'll do that shortly. But there's also an optional paper book. If you want to buy that from the bookstore, you can get the paper book. But with the paper book, you still need a Cengage MindTap login because you're going to be doing online assignments. And so you need that login, even if you have the paper book. You're allowed, if you'd like, to use a financial calculator versus a normal scientific calculator. And a financial calculator, this is a link to one. You could also buy a physical financial calculator, but I don't use the financial calculator myself. And you're not required to use a financial calculator. It's an optional thing if you're interested in it. And there'll be an actual educational video that'll show you how to use it if you want to. I don't do it. I use just a regular calculator, so you don't need to do this, but it's an optional. Okay, let's continue on. These are just a bunch of websites that are very helpful for financial information. I already talked about office hours. The weekly discussion forum, every week you're going to be posting one original post to the question. I'll put a question out there. You need to do one original post. Then you must interact with two other posts to other people's posts. So I'll put a question out there. You're going to post your answer, your opinion, your answer to that question. And then you have to look at other people's posts and then respond to what they've said. You need 3 total posts to get full credit. To get a full credit, 100% for the participation, you have to have 3 posts, 1 original and 2 responses. So if you want to make an opinion, if you have something to back the opinion up, like a reference, that would be great to put a link in with your written opinion of where you got like the information that you're talking about. All right, we don't allow AI content or tools to work on homework or work on exams or anything like that. So that's a violation of the course policy to be using AI. You're remote, so you could theoretically be using some AI tool and I won't see it, but if the content of what you produce can be discernible as produced by AI, then you will not get credit for that assignment. All right. All homework exam quizzes are done as an individual basis. We don't have group assignments or group work. Everything is individual in this class. There is a video lecture for every single chapter. In other words, if I was teaching this in person instead of online, I would be giving a lecture every week. But I'm not going to be giving a lecture, not going to be a video every week. But there is a lecture video that you can watch that is attached in Cengage MindTap for the class. Every week you can watch that video for every chapter. And also there's reading. You can read the chapter. There are slides that you can look at, PowerPoint slides, and those are all in Cengage MindTap, or you can watch the video for the chapter where they cover the most important material or information for the chapter. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the project. So the project we'll be creating throughout this course, it's a personal financial plan, meaning a plan that you describe your current financial situation in a facet of different categories, and also what your plans are to achieve different financial goals for different categories. That's what the financial plan comes down to. And typically people will do a financial plan in life. People will do financial planning by contracting or hiring services through investment counselors or financial planners. But there's nothing to prevent you from creating your own financial plan, which is what we're going to do in this class. Each week we're going to do a topic, and each week some of the information on that topic you can add to the paper, so that instead of writing the paper at the end of the semester when you're getting ready to study for the final. You just have every week you've done part of the paper and added to it. So you only have the retirement section at the very end to add as a last section of the paper and the conclusion, your conclusion of your financial plan. And so I highly, strongly recommend that each week of the semester that you actually work on and write that section of the financial plan, so that you're not left to do them all at once. So while we're talking about taxes, for example, you can write the tax section of the financial plan. So your submissions for the project, I will destroy that. I won't keep it. I will destroy that. Some people don't feel comfortable sharing financial information. So if you don't feel comfortable sharing financial information about, like, say, your salary, or let's say your housing is one of the things. So what kind of house or housing you have, what your mortgage is, or your rent. Some people don't feel comfortable sharing, like, what my bank accounts are, how much my balances are, my investments, etc. So it's acceptable that you can use simulated values, uh, instead of the actual value. So you could take your actual value and you could make a delta from it. That's not the real value. It's your simulated value. It's not the actual value. The other thing is, a lot of students here don't have a lot of financial information. So you're living at home, you're getting support from a parent, and you don't have your own car, you don't have your own health insurance, you don't have your own life insurance, you don't have any investments, you don't have bank accounts, etc. So in that situation, instead of writing the paper to say, I don't have anything here, I don't have anything here, you need to find a friend or a family member or acquaintance and interact with them, interview them for filling out that information for that part of the pair. So a perfect example would be your living situation. So if you're living with a parent, then you can talk to your parent about the housing. So in the housing section, we'll have questions like, well, what is the value of the house? What is the payment? What is the monthly payment? How many years are left on the mortgage? So I'm giving examples. So obviously, if you own a house, you could write all those things in. If you rent, you can talk about your rent, your security deposit, all those different things. But if you're living with a parent, you can interview your parent or relative or wherever you're living and find out what the answers to those questions are for that person, and you can add that to the paper. But then when you do that, mark in the paper that this information is for a relative. This is not my personal information. But then you also, in that same section, need to talk about what your future plans for housing would be. So you can say, well, after I graduate from college, I plan on buying a house, et cetera, et cetera. So you would still write about the other person, like a parent or a relative, but then you would write about what your future plans of that category are. I'm just going past the standard issues. Now, here we get into the calendar. This is the academic calendar that shows what we're going to do every week in the class. So the first week, this week, understanding personal finance and career planning is our first topic. It started today, and the end of the semester, or sorry, end of the week is Sunday, August 30th. We always start on a Monday, and the end of all submissions and homework is due on Sunday by midnight. And then anything after Sunday at midnight would be late or not acceptable if you don't have talked to me and gotten a exemption from turning it in on time. So for this week, you need to post for the first discussion forum question. You have to do this post before August 30th. And then there are two homework assignments: understanding personal finance and career planning. These two assignments in Cengage MindTap, which I'm going to show you when we get to that stage. You need to go in and log on to Cengage MindTap and go to this class, go to the chapter 1 and chapter 2. You can look at the video lectures, you can look at the textbook, the PowerPoint, and then you need to take these two practice tests. They're practice tests, and these are graded practice tests. And I'm going to show you that also here as we go. So then each week I've laid out here in the syllabus. The second week is August 31st to September 6th. And in this one, we just have one chapter 3 homework assignment that you have to do, and discussion forum too. And I'm not going to, read through all of these, but suffice it to say, each of the topics is here. The dates are here. The homework assignment is here that you need to do for that date. And the due dates are all right here. And then as you can see on week 8, that's when we do the midterm exam. So it'll be for chapters 1 through 9 of the text. And you must submit the midterm exam by October 18th online. It's an online exam you do in Cengage. And then we continue on with week 9 and all the way down to week 17, the last week. And we will do the final exam for chapters 10 through 17 of the textbook. And you will post your personal financial term project paper in the assignment folder, which again, I'm going to show you here in a minute. All right, so that's the schedule, that's the syllabus. And so the next thing I want to do is just bring up the project. So this is the project. It's due on December 18th, and it must be posted in the assignment folder, which I'll show you here in a minute. And you're going to be creating a personal financial paper. And here I talk about the fact if you don't have personal financial information for a topic, then talk to a parent, a sibling, or a contact, or a acquaintance to get that information. I'm not going to read all this to you. There are 2 spreadsheets that you also have to do, a personal balance sheet and a spending log. And those files are here also, here in Brightspace D2L. And you'll need to fill out these spreadsheets and submit those as separate files from the project. I can open these up to kind of show you what they look like. Let me download them. Here we go. Show folder. Okay, so the personal balance sheet, let me click on that. All right, so this is where you'd put your name and the date, and then basically put in the balance sheet date of when you produce or create the balance sheet. And then you're going to fill in all your assets, like checking account balance, savings account balance, etc. Um, all of your possessions, you're going to put all that in here. Any investments that you have, that'll be your total assets, then your liabilities, credit card, loans, etc. And we're going to go through the detail of what all this is. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to fill out all of this information for yourself. You're going to save the file, and then that's going to be uploaded. This is the personal balance sheet, which is one of the documents that you're going to have to submit for the term project. The other one is what's called a spending log. Let me bring that one up. So spending log for 1 month, you pick the month, any month during the semester, and for that month, you need to keep track of all of your spending. So for example, if I today on 8, whoops, I've got to say enable editing, my bad. Let me do that. If I say that on 8/24/2026, I spent money on groceries. So I'll say groceries. And it was like, let's say, Target run. And I spent $29.20. Okay, so you can see that when I put in that date and that grocery category, it added it over here to the actual spending for that month. Now, what I can do is I can keep adding these in the different categories, and it will total everything up for me. And so what this does, the purpose of this is to show how much you are spending and what you are spending things on by category in a given month. And I think you may be surprised at what you're actually spending your money on. And one of the reasons we do this as part of budgeting is to try to get a handle on when we have wants and when we have needs, when we have things we need to spend, and when we have things that we are optionally spending that if we wanted to be more frugal, if we wanted to invest more, save more, we could spend less. So you'll go through for that month, you'll put for that month all the different items, categories that you bought. And then at the end, you'll have the summation of what your total expenses were for the month. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that. All right, that was the spending log. So as part of this project, you need to do that spending log. Let me continue on here. This is the outline of the paper. So every student, again, should fill out a paper, and the top category of every section should be in the paper. So if I have a Word document, and I'll create a new one, and then I go back to the outline, and I just copy this. The first categories here. What I would do in the paper is I would start with, personal, oops, sorry. And then I would say overview of personal information. I would bold it, put a colon here. That's one section of the paper. So now in this section, I would start writing about this. My name is, I don't want to be bold here, sorry. My name is X, Y. I am a student at dot, dot, dot. And then for the next section, so you're going to fill in this entire section or the first section of the paper. And if I go back here to the, hold on. Oh, yeah, I got to go into D2L in here. And now the next section would be here. Whoops. So in my paper, I'd put that in, put a colon in here, bold it. And now I would write what my short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals are. So I might say short-term goal, medium-term goal, long-term goal, etc. So that's the format that the paper should be for your personal financial plan. Okay, let me go back here. So you can do each section, you can basically do fill in one of these sections, and each week we're going to do like taxes, checking and savings accounts, consumer credit usage, motor vehicle, housing. So as we do those each chapter in the weeks that we do the class, once we're done with that chapter, you can go in and fill this section. Now you might ask yourself, well, what am I supposed to put in these sections? And I have that answer right here. Taxes for that tax section. Here are some questions that you should be able to answer in the tax section. You file your own income taxes. If you do you use paper form, software? Do you pay for a service? What forms do you use? Do you itemize? Do you take advantage of deductions, credits? What's your average tax rate? What's your marginal tax rate? Now, when we get to the tax section, you'll learn what the average tax rate and the marginal tax rate and how to calculate those are. So you'll know what that is. What's the sales tax rate where you live? What's the estimate of what you pay in sales tax in a year? What's the gas tax you pay? What's the estimate of the gas tax? What is your property tax if you own property? So again, here's a situation where a student might not work. A student may not have a home. A student may not even have a car for gas, for example. Here's where you would have to interview a friend, a parent, a relative, an acquaintance, and get this kind of information for them. And they may not feel comfortable giving any total dollar amounts because nowhere does it say how much do you make. It just says what's your tax rate. But the point is, if you don't have this information for yourself because you're just a high school student, for example, then you need to get the information for someone else. And then you need to reference that when you write the paper that this information is for my acquaintance instead of myself. because I'm a student and I don't have this kind of information. If you see each of these different topics, we have a lot of information about what you should be writing in that section. And as we do the semester class weeks and we read and go through these different topics, then you're going to be able to have even a better idea of what you should write in these sections. All right, so that's the project. You should, start the project and keep it going for the whole semester. And then at the end, the last section is retirement and estate planning. And you're going to just go ahead and fill that last section in, and then conclusion. It doesn't say conclusion here, but you want to do a conclusion to your paper. And then basically that's it. That's what you submit, plus those 2 spreadsheets that I showed you. That's the project. That's 20% of your grade. All right. The welcome video, that's the video that you're watching right now. Now, here we get into Cengage MindTap. So get Cengage MindTap. So we have setting up Cengage MindTap. Why is it saying it's not available here? Okay, setting up MindTap. All right, I'm going to switch back to be instructor because I don't know why that didn't work, but it will work here. Go back to the content. Okay, here we go. So setting up Cengage MindTap, if I click on this link, and I'll make sure it works for you as a student. This explains from Cengage how to register for MindTap and do D2L Brightspace, which is what we are. So you can watch this video, and it's going to, if you haven't done this, it's going to go through how you actually sign up for Cengage MindTap. That's the first one. So let me go back here. Okay. I close that. Make this bigger. Close that. Sorry. And then the actual course itself, if I click on this one, this takes you to the page for Cengage MindTap for our class for Business 2101 Personal Finance for this section. So if I click on this link, now I've already logged in, so it's not going to ask me to log in. But if you haven't logged in, it's going to require you to log in first. And if you haven't registered, it's going to ask you to register first. And I understand there's a grace period. If you haven't bought the license to get the login, they give you like 2 weeks, something like 2 weeks from the start of the class to buy that login, and you have a guest login until then. But you can use that. You need to register for the class. So when you get in there, that first link will talk about how registering for the class. And then once you register for the class, you can have access to the class. All right. So I will make sure those links work. I just tested them and they didn't work as a student, but I will make sure that they work for you without a problem. And let's go ahead and look at how Cengage is set up and how this works if you haven't used this before. So chapter 1, Understanding Personal Finance, is our first chapter. If I click on it, I talked about the video. This is that video for chapter 1. So if I open that up, if I click on it here, all right, I stopped it. So that's basically the video lecture that I was talking about. I'm going to kill that. And so I would give a lecture similar to that if I was in person in class instead of asynchronous online. So you can get an overview of the most important topics of the chapter by watching the video. You can also read about it. So here's a reading, chapter 1, and this is from the textbook, the ebook. And then I can look at like achieving personal financial success, and I can actually read this. And if I want to see the full book, on the far right here, you can see where it says full book. If I click on that, This is the act. Then if you want to, this is our full book. This is the textbook. And I'm just going page by page down through the textbook. So if you ever want to get to individual textbook or to see the textbook, you can actually do that here. And if I kill this side, um, I'm going back to the top level, but this is the actual textbook. And if you want to print like a chapter or some pages out of the textbook, you can print that also. All right, I'm going to close the whole book. All right, let's go back to this side. So there are practice homework, 32 points, and you can do the practice if you like. The actual graded homework is this one. And so I'm going to click on this so you can see what it looks like. This is the first chapter. Your assignment is Understanding Personal Finance, and I click Start Assignment Now. So here's the first question. Isaiah received $4,750 raise. This increases salary from 57 to 61,000. What percentage of increase in nominal income did he receive? And so you would do the calculation. You can pick, and I'll just pick one, 8.3, and say check my work. You get one check. You can do one check, and I pick the right answer. I randomly pick that. But if I wouldn't have picked the right answer, it would have said um, that isn't correct. And then I have to pick one of the other answers. And the other answer I pick is what I have to submit. And then if I want to do two, I go to two, I click on two here, and then I'll just pick one here at random. I'm not even reading it. I'm just picking it at random. Check my work. That one is incorrect. So now I'm going to pick another one, and that is the one that I'm going to submit. And then I'll go to three and so forth. So I'm not going to do the rest of this. I'm going to kill this. But that's what you do. You go through and you do the homework, and then you submit it, and then it will be graded and posted in D2L, and it will be posted in Mindspace. So that's chapter one. That's kind of how you navigate in here. Here's chapter two. And so the first week we talked about in, let me kill that. Don't save. For the first week, you have to do two assignments, chapter two and chapter one homework assignments. All right, I'm going to go back to Brightspace. It's going to be this other one. There we go. Okay. So anytime you want to get to the textbook, you can just come under this Getting Started Mind Tap, and you can click on this link. And then if you just log in by just putting Cengage Mind Tap or Googling that and just click on the login screen, then it will take you to the classes that you've registered for. You do have to register for this class in Cengage Mind Tap. Okay. So that's how you get to the main course, and the homework and the exams are all going to be in Cengage Mind Tap. All right, let's continue on, and each week of work is also laid out here. So if I look here, and I'm going to switch back to student view. I'll go back to content. Okay, and now I'm going to go to week one. And here on week one, you can see that it starts with a checklist. Let me click on the checklist, and I can open the checklist. And here's what it's saying. You must watch the weekly video and articles for this week, read the syllabus and term project assignments, complete chapter 1 and 2 homework assignment, and post on discussion forum 1. And they're all due by 11:59 on Sunday, August 30th. So let me cancel this, because you can keep track of what you need to do by actually going through each checklist. I'm going to go back to content. We're going to go back to week one. So there's no question of what you need to do each week. It's all laid out in the checklist. And so under week 1, I have the link here to MindTap Getting Started and Getting Started in MindTap. And that's that video that talks about how to register for MindTap. There is a section called Videos and Articles. So here is the video and articles. There's 3 things that you need to look at for this semester. The first one is optional that you don't have to do. So it's a video, and I'm going to look at the second one, the time value of money video. So if I click on this, it's 8 minutes, and I'll click play. I'm going to stop. So basically, you want to look at each of the videos. Sometimes it's not a video, it's an article. And they're usually short. So the videos are usually 3 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. I know the financial calculator one is a lot longer, but it's optional. You don't have to use a financial calculator. So you don't have to do this one. So you should go through, look at the videos and articles. So sometimes there'll be links to an article you should read. Sometimes they're just going to be a video like this. All right. So then the next thing is the discussion forum question. Let me click on the discussion forum question. Question 1. We're going to go to the discussion. If I press that. So for question 1, post a response to the topic with the following information. What is your name and student status? What is your background and experience in personal finance? What are you hoping to learn from the class? What are the key topics you're most interested in from the syllabus? Now, for this 1 week only, you only have to do 1 original post. You don't have to go and read other posts and respond to everyone. So a single post with this information gives you full credit for your discussion forum. So another way you can get to discussion, so this is through the content. If I ever go to the top and I click on discussions, here I can actually go to each discussion question directly without going through the weekly chapter content. So let me go back to content here. We're going to go back to week 1. Okay, so that was the discussion forum question. So the next one is, these are the readings. So if I click on this one, chapter 1, and if I click on this link, I'm not going to do it. It will take me to Cengage MindTap and would take me to that chapter reading that we already looked at when we were in Cengage. This will take me to the chapter reading for chapter 2, not the videos. This just takes me to the reading. Then this one will take me to the actual exam that you have to do, the homework assignment. This also takes me to the homework assignment. So for the first week, this is everything that you have to do for the first week. And you can navigate to these things through these link, or you can actually just navigate in here. If I log into Cengage and I go to chapter 1, I can just do the same links, and the B12 MindTap links just take you to these links. So once you get into the class, you can navigate your Cengage MindTap in the actual Cengage MindTap website instead of the D2L one. All right, let me go back here. And then you can see we have chapter 2, week 2. So week 2 due September 6th. It's very similar. They're all going to be the same. Week 3, etc. If you look here, the midterm exam, if I click on the midterm exam, this link will take me to the midterm exam in D2L MindTap. And if I get down to the bottom, this is week 17. Whoops, week 17, if I can click on it. There we go. So here's the project. If I click on this assignment, it takes me to the assignment folder, and then I can upload my Microsoft Word written personal financial plan paper that I showed you doing the project, and then the 2 spreadsheets. And I can upload all those for that assignment under the assignment folder. And then the final exam, again, if I click here and I open this link, it will take me to Cengage MindTap, and it will take me to the link for taking the exam. Okay. All right. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how to navigate and work on the class. If you have questions, if you have any concerns, feel free to contact me, email me, and I can answer questions. Now, if you have a question that you think the whole class could profit from getting an answer to, here under the discussion, I have a section called class questions, and I could start a new thread here, and I could say, how do I XXXXXX? And then I could write here, how do I do this? And then basically subscribe to that thread, and then you post it. And then I will see that, and then I will respond to it, give an answer. And all the other students can also see your question and the answer that I gave. Or other students could even respond to it if they know the answer. But if you have a general question, you can do that, or you can also email me. All right. Um, your grades are all here. So here are my grades. So here is practice test one, how many points I earned, what my grade for that is, etc. So this is all of our homework, the final exam, the midterm exam, the project, and again, 20% of your total grade. The project, the discussion forum, project is 20% of your grade also. And this is your discussion forum. Um, and for whatever reason, discussion forum one doesn't look like it's in here. I'll have to make sure I fix that. So, all right, I'll fix that. But that's how you can see your grade. All right, that's all I had for today. I look forward to the semester. It should be a really fun semester. I think you guys are going to enjoy this class and learn a lot. But one thing I do advise, log in every week. You need to log in a couple times every week to work on this. There's a lot you need to do each week. And don't wait until Sunday night to do the work. Get the work done during the week. So Sunday night is a nothing burger. You don't have to deal with it because you'll have everything done. All right. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to hearing from you and interacting with you in class.